Can we please put our hands together for him?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Gentlemen of the press, let me first apologize that we're behind schedule. We know time is money in Lagos, but it's also the job that we're doing. So I want to apologize for starting this event behind schedule, and I'm hoping that you would forgive us. We've been doing other things just to adjust our time. Mr. Deputy Governor, members of the State Executive Council here present, distinguished audience, senior government officials, gentlemen of the press. I'm privileged to address you as the Governor of the Center of Excellence, our Lagos State, where we take pride in the ability of several ethnic nationals to peacefully cohabit while resiliently pursuing their personal goals and ambition. It is in that cherished spirit of Lagos that we have decided to put behind us our most recent challenges and faced the daunting task of collectively rebuilding our state. We believe that our culture, our heritage, our values, and future are worth much more than the looting, the arson, the destruction, which we have witnessed in Lagos in the last 2 weeks. We have decided to look to the future with a hope as we work on healing the wounds of our recent past. Instead of wallowing in our pain, we have chosen to positively move forward. We will embrace new standards of governance. We will build stronger partnership. We will have stronger people. We will build stronger institutions and a stronger state. Our strength lies in our uncanny ability to overcome the most complicated challenges because we have a people who genuinely love Lagos State, and we will assiduously do all they can to preserve its peace and unity. In the last few weeks, we have been inundated with local and global offers of assistance to rebuild our great state and to recover all we lost to arson and the violence that we saw in the month of October. It is obvious that we can no longer wait to begin the onerous task of reconstructing Lagos. In the last few days, our government will be sending a bill to the Lagos State House of Assembly for the establishment of a trust fund to rebuild Lagos. However, with the deluge of offers of immediate help and assistance that we have received both locally and internationally, we can no longer wait until when we pass this very important bill. It is expedient that our enumeration, our recovery process, and our rebuilding effort should start as soon as possible. It's therefore by the powers vested in me as the Governor of Lagos State that I will today be signing an executive order to set up an 8-man Lagos Rebuild Trust Fund Committee, which will, as a matter of urgency, begin to oversee our recovery process. This Trust Fund Committee, which, like I said, will transform into a proper bill once we get the approval and the necessary passage from the House of Assembly. In order to ensure that the highest standards of probity, transparency, and accountability from day one, we will also be appointing Messrs. FBN trustees, headed by Mr. Awojobi, who will oversee the Lagos Rebuild Trust Fund. The committee, which, like I mentioned, will be an 8-man, will have a chairman, and will have 5 other members from the private sector and 2 from the public sector, including a member from the international donor community. I can assure you of the committee's utmost commitment to the reconstruction and the upgrading of our dear state. In these challenging but interesting times, we realize that we have the potent opportunity to reform our state and to upgrade our structures. Out of the despair and challenges of the coronavirus pandemic and the destruction of our public assets comes a glimmer of hope. The Trust Fund Committee, which we will be setting up here today, to set the pace for the eventual transformation of our state. The committee will have a profound effort on how quickly and efficiently we are able to rebuild our state and restart our social economic growth. It is the needed critical intervention at this time if we must make a difference. When the Trust Fund Bill is passed by the House of Assembly and becomes a law, the functions and activity of the Lagos Rebuilding Trust Fund Committee will immediately be transferred into the newly established Trust Fund. I urge you to trust to us to continue to represent the collective interest of all Lagosians. At the center of this decisive action to rebuild our state is a need for us to closely work with our people, with various organizations, and we call on all Lagosians, both home and abroad, to support us in this dream. We believe in the dream of Lagos. We believe it's a dream that is achievable. These are dreams that we collectively share, and we believe in the vision of a mega city that thrives on peace and unity amongst all ethnic groups. Those who know that the future of Lagos is tied to the ability to keep nurturing our state. Those who are ready to commit their resources to the glory of our state because their future is the future of Lagos. The Trust Fund Committee will be responsible for getting the detailed costs of restructuring, rebuilding, reconstruction of all destroyed properties, the identification of our state's most critical needs, and how they can align with our administration's team's agenda, how best to improve our emergency response services, the fire service, the first responders on the health line, and our LASEMA in determination of the areas of critical needs to get affected agencies back to work, and the construction of a website to gather ideas from the public on the way forward. I believe this is the starting point of a new social economic order. I am also hopeful that this initiative will help us to seamlessly make the transition to rebuild Lagos with the upgraded public structure, facilities, and amenities that you will all be truly proud of. I know that the ashes that presently dot our landscape will rebirth modern and globally acceptable modern infrastructure. We will continue to optimize all resources at our disposal to further the interest of all Lagosians. We will prioritize reconciliation. We will start a peaceful rebuilding and unity amongst all ethnic nationalities that reside in Lagos State. We are known as a center of excellence because of our ability to outstandingly set the pace. Our resilient spirit makes it impossible for us to compromise our unparalleled capability to implement radical social reforms. As I sign this executive order today, I am positive that we will attain new heights of development, we will build more resilient system, and we will become more united and accomplished in our audacious goals and in the vision for a new Lagos that we all have signed on to. I want to thank you. I want to also go further to explain the composition of the various of this Trust Fund Committee, and I will also announce other committees that we're also setting up. So apart from the Lagos Rebuild Trust Fund, which, like we said, will be taking a bill to the House, which we're setting up today as a committee, we will also be setting up what we'll call a business continuity committee, which will have both public and private sector organizations and individuals in that committee. We'll be setting up what we call an assessment, a full assessment committee, which will also have both the private sector and the public sector. Some organizations, professional organizations, will be serving in all of these various committees. We'll also be setting up what we call an execution, measurement, and evaluation committee. We'll be setting up a communication and engagement committee. The communication is more of a peace engagement committee, which will also have both the private sector and the public sector in the committee. We'll also be setting up what we call security, enforcement, and mental health committee. We believe that given the indices that we've seen in the last months, all of these committees are important for us to be able to begin to build a Lagos that we see going forward. So for the main committee, which is the Trust Fund, the Lagos Rebuild Trust Fund Committee, this committee today will be headed by a prominent Lagosian, Mr. Yemi Cardoso, will serve as the chairman of that committee. In that committee, we'll also have Professor Koinsola Ajayi, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. We'll also have Mr. Benga Agbola, the MD of Flutterwaves, in the committee. Mr. Abubakar Suleiman, the MD of Sterling Bank, in that committee. We have a representative from UNDP, who also further requires approval from his international body, but he has given us indication that he's willing to serve in that committee. We have Mrs. Bola Adeshola serving in that committee. We have Mr. Sam Igube serving in that committee from the public sector side. So we've seen 6 people from the private sector and 2 people from the public side. And engineer Jimmy Hotonu, who is the current permanent secretary in the Office of Works and Infrastructure, will also be a member of that committee. So that is the composition of the 8-man committee, 8-man board, but it's not been approved yet. So can we call it a board? Okay, they said 8-man board, which we will also be swearing in very, very soon. But that is the composition. I will now go forward to sign the executive order. Gentlemen of the press, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. Is there a question? Did you just want to clarify anything? No need? So the Ministry of Information can also come up and clear whatever areas we have. But nobody's confused about anything. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.